He cut in front of senior citizens, looked me dead in the eye, and said, "I don't see them standing in line." So I stole the only thing he needed to eat at his campsite. Call it petty, call it karma. I call it justice. Let me tell you what happened. It was just an ordinary afternoon. I'd stopped by a local grocery store to grab some essentials for the week. You know the vibe. Crowded aisles, blaring pop music, that weird hum in the fluorescent lights. The kind of place you rush through, just trying to make it out in one piece. The checkout lanes were busy as usual. I found myself behind two other shoppers in the regular line, and just beside us was the priority lane, the one reserved for senior citizens, people with disabilities, pregnant women. It's a common setup here. There were even plastic benches lined up behind the cashier so that those who couldn't stand long could sit while waiting. On that bench sat two elderly folks, a woman with a cane and a man who looked like he was carrying half of the weight of the world on his back. You could tell standing was hard for them. They were waiting patiently for their turn, carts beside them, eyes forward, no complaints. Then he walked in. Mid-30s, Bluetooth in one ear, sunglasses still on indoors, dressed like he was auditioning for the role of entitled guide number 3 in a movie no one asked for. He walks straight past the sitting seniors, completely ignores their carts, and slots himself into the lane right in front of them. Just like that. My first instinct was disbelief. Maybe he didn't notice them. Maybe he was just confused. So I said, calmly, "Hey, they're already in line." Didn't even look at me. Just shrugged and said, "I don't see them standing in line, though." Just like that. Smug, dismissive, like I was a fly buzzing near his ear. I glanced at the seniors. They looked uncomfortable. The woman tightened her grip on her cane. The man shifted in his seat and stared hard at the back of the guy's head. But neither said a word. Maybe they didn't want the confrontation. Maybe they were used to people like him steamrolling over quiet kindness. I wanted to say more. I wanted to make a scene. But instead, I shut up. And I simmered. I stood in line quietly, but inside my head, 1,000 arguments were playing out. 1,000 comebacks, takedowns, insults. None of them would have done anything. He wouldn't care. People like that never do. They glide through life on a cloud of their own ego, completely insulated from the consequences of their actions. But karma waits patiently. And that day, I got to help her out. We were still in the lanes, waiting. His lane hadn't moved yet. Mine was crawling forward too. I started glancing at his cart, not because I planned anything, not yet, just curiosity. But then I noticed something strange. His cart was filled with outdoor gear, a sleeping bag, marshmallows, instant noodles, disposable utensils, a little camp stove box still sealed in plastic. And then I saw it, the key to it all, a single can of butane gas. Just one, sitting near the back of the cart, loose between the marshmallows and a pack of crackers. And something clicked. The plan didn't come fully formed. It wasn't this grand scheme. It was just a flicker of an idea, like a spark in dry brush. He was on the phone now, loudly, talking about how long the drive would be and how he hoped the campsite had good signal, bragging, essentially. Totally distracted. So I waited until he looked away again, leaned slightly over, reached into his cart, and slid the butane into mine. Quick, smooth, silent. He never noticed. He was too busy talking, too busy being the center of his own little universe. My heart was pounding, not from fear, from adrenaline, from the rush of doing something so quietly wicked and completely deserved. A few minutes later, he checked out. I watched from the corner of my eye. He loaded all his gear onto the belt. The clerk scanned everything without noticing the missing item. He didn't flinch, didn't notice a thing. And then he was gone. Out the doors, off to whatever campsite awaited him. When it was my turn, I paid for my groceries, including his precious can of butane gas, tossed it in my bag, walked out, and didn't look back. But in my mind, I was with him. I was with him as he unpacked that sleeping bag, as he set up his tiny stove on some picnic table under the stars, as he reached for the gas and realized it wasn't there. I imagined that moment. The confusion, the frustration, the dawning realization. No gas, no hot stove, no fire. Just crunchy instant noodles, cold coffee mix, and marshmallows that would never see flame. I hope he sat there in the dark, stewing. I hope the night got colder than he expected. I hope the silence was louder than he was used to. Because that man didn't just cut in line. He stepped on dignity. He looked at two people who had lived long, probably difficult lives and told them they didn't matter because they weren't standing. He acted like standing was the only sign of worth, and that deserved a little reminder. A reminder that just because you don't see something doesn't mean it's not there. Just because someone's quiet doesn't mean they're weak. And just because you don't see someone standing doesn't mean you're ahead of them. Somewhere out there, that man spent the night without a warm meal, all because he couldn't wait 2 extra minutes. That's the funny thing about patience. The seniors had it, I had it, he didn't. And in the end, that was the difference. Do I feel bad? No, not even a little. Was it petty? Maybe. But justice doesn't always need a courtroom. Sometimes justice is small. Sometimes it fits in the palm of your hand. Sometimes it's a single can of butane gas quietly slipping into the right cart. And sometimes that's all it takes to serve up a nice, cold dish of consequences, with no heat to cook it.